Tonight, I'm being joined on the program by the President's spokesperson, Mr. Garba Shehu, who joins us virtually from Kano. Thank you so much, Mr. Shehu, for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you for this opportunity.
So let's begin the conversation. One of the three major pillars on which the President Buhari administration came on was said that they wanted to do security, fight corruption, and of course the economy. And when he took office in 2015, the security situation in the Northeast particularly was horrifying. But today, Mr. Shehu, 6 years after taking over as president of Nigeria, would you say Nigeria is a safer place to live in?
I will tell you that the security challenges have mutated. They have changed from what they were in 2015. When President Muhammad Buhari came at that time, the biggest challenge was the Boko Haram.
Fine now.
Boko Haram had set up a republic within the Nigerian Republic. A sovereign country of their own with a flag and system of administration that had been established over about 14 local council areas in Borno and Yobe states. That has been smashed as we speak today. It's no longer there. New challenges have come and they are being confronted as they unfold. Societies are dynamic, crime is dynamic. When they change, administrations in their attitude and their approach will change. And what we are seeing today is that the Boko Haram that we knew has virtually disappeared and has merged into a bigger threat. The ISWA that is funded and financed from the remnants of Libyan army and from alliances that have been formed in faraway countries, including Iraq and Libya, including funding. And this is a challenge not only to Nigeria, Chad Basin, but to the entire sub-Sahara Sahel regions. And all of West Africa is tackling this together.
Well, I mean, understandably so. Some of the things that you have listed, Nigerians are experiencing them. We know what is happening around the region. We know what is happening in the world. We know how some of these terrorist elements have mutated into what they are today. But the big question is what the president and his team promised Nigerians and what they are getting today. In simple terms, can you say, perhaps, repeating that same question, would you say that Nigeria is a safer place to live in today compared to when President Buhari took over the helm of affairs?
As far as Boko Haram terrorism is concerned, Nigeria is a safer place today than it was in 2015 when he took power. New challenges have come up. Farmers had clashes, killings in the central sections of the country. Much of this has been subdued. We have been confronted with problems of sabotage of oil installations in the south. That has been managed effectively up to this point. Challenges of banditry and the kidnapping have arisen in so many parts of the country, including the southwest. Today, southwest is perhaps the safest part of this country. The challenges have epicentered around the Kebbi, parts of Kebbi, parts of Sokoto, Zamfara, Mele, Katsina, and Kaduna states. Much of it have been Kaduna has been rid of it. Much of it has been rid of it. The Katsina is a lot safer today, certainly, than it was a year or two back. Zamfara is dealing with the problem in so many ways, kinetic, non-kinetic. The point is that the problems as they arise are being confronted head-on by a competent administration served by a military that is loyal, police that is loyal, and intelligence agencies that are efficient.
I mean, if you say that Kaduna is safer today, I mean, this is a Kaduna that the reports of kidnapping. Thank God, some of those who were kidnapped at that university were just about 15 of them just regained their freedom yesterday. And when you say it is safer, for those who are living there, they will be wondering what exactly you mean by that. But Nigeria is facing.
Well, so let us look. If we are doing a geo mapping of criminality in Kaduna, southern Kaduna is still hot, is still on fire. But if you are talking about the major incidents you have been seeing on Abuja Kaduna Expressway, that have gone down significantly. Birnin Gwari, much of it has gone down as well. So Kaduna is chaptered into departments that you can analyze. I am not in any way saying that southern Kaduna is safe or there are no problems there. There are incidents still ongoing, and we are hoping that when communities come together, when they talk to each other, when they learn from neighboring states such as Plateau, which has dealt with many of these problems, I'm sure that all these attacks in the name of revenge, for the most part, by either of the parties would certainly be also brought down.
Nigeria is facing perhaps one of the most troubling moments in its history, security-wise. Many have canvassed for more funding for the military, but in the last few years, Mr. Shehu, 75 billion, for example, was appropriated and released in 2019. An additional funds appropriated from the service-wide vote was also released 100%. The sum of 2.5 billion was released that year. In 2020, 75 billion was appropriated, but 74.99 billion was released. In 2021, 100 billion has been appropriated and 19.4 billion released for the fourth quarter. Another 19.95 billion was recently released for the second quarter. I mean, if you look at it, how do you explain the disbursement and efforts in the face of the incidents that we've seen and the kind of military hardware that are available to the military to fight and prosecute this war? And I'm asking this, Mr. Shehu, because this government told Nigerians the millions of naira meant for the military were stolen before it got into office. Nigerians would like to know, if you will, to explain to us, please, what has been done with the much that I've listed that has gone out to the military in terms of the security that they are getting and what has gone into procurement of hardware and prosecution of some of these insecurity situations.
The military chiefs have been doing a lot of talking in the National Assembly, but I will cite a few examples for you. This country is about receiving delivery of 12 Super Tucano aircraft, which are most suitable for fighting the kind of insurgency that we have in parts of the country. Beyond that, we also have got about a dozen, some have been delivered attack helicopters from Russia, some are still in the line of delivery. When President Buhari came, this country didn't have an air force that had more than 5 or so aircraft. He bought 26 brand new aircraft as we speak now, and about a dozen are on the way being delivered. The Nigerian Navy has bought so many, at least 400 new platforms, including about 170 boats that are there for attack boats. So the military has been acquiring a lot of hardware. A lot of them are still to come. We have recently that in a major procurement involving the United Arab Emirates, the army had some challenges which needed to be resolved diplomatically, and we believe that they are in the process of doing this. So a lot of equipment are being bought, and the money is not quite unlike what you had in the past. You can't do those kind of games under President Muhammadu Buhari. You will be dealt with. I mean, there's no question about this.
I mean, I asked that question again because if you, the much that has been put in, the monies that have been put in, there seems to be a lot of expectation because we have a president who is a retired military general. So a lot of expectations were there from a lot of Nigerians in 2015 and in fact 2019 that this man is capable of quenching some of this insecurity situation. But it does look like my first question perhaps has not been properly answered. Is Nigeria safer today than it was 2015?
So I'm sorry, I'm not being accusatory. I think you are looking for a line for the digital media that they will go away with, and then the clicks will follow. The point is that everyone who lived in this country in 2015 knew the existing problems in the country at that time. Bombings in our major cities. The United Nations was bombed. Police headquarters was bombed in Abuja. No place of worship was safe in much of northern Nigeria. And Boko Haram was threatening to go to the south. All of these things are behind us today. Boko Haram is on the fringes of Lake Chad now. That's what we are talking about. But I am saying to you that we accept that new challenges have arisen. And these new challenges are being confronted with given resources that are available. As we speak today, the executive and legislative arms of government are working on a major funding scheme that will see the release of huge amounts of money from the armed services to procure a lot more platforms. Training is going on over this weekend. 6,700 or so fighters were discharged from training. So all of these shortcomings that had grieved the nation are being attended to. And I can assure you that the seriousness that these things have been tackled, we will also put behind us these incidents that are worrisome to us, the killings, the banditry, and the kidnappings. These two will go away.
I opened the program with the sad story of the death of the APC chieftain Hamid Golak, and someone who have appeared on this program a few times, a former aide to former President Goodluck Jonathan. And you hear what the police are saying in the situation of things there. What's the reaction of the presidency on that?
The president has expressed outrage and sadness over this incident. We have issued a statement on the matter, and he has asked that special detectives from the police headquarters be sent to undertake investigation. Imo has a new police commissioner, very competent, and his reputation has preceded his arrival in Imo. They will get to the root of the problem. A lot of theories are being peddled. We are not interested in all of that. Criminality has been committed, and the country has sadly lost one of its finest politicians. But the perpetrators of this act will not escape justice. They will be found and they will be tried and convicted.
Let me take you, I would have loved to ask you about the issue of the police, but because the government of the day had promised that there will be more recruitment, but in terms of the ratio to citizen based on the United Nations standard, I mean, you look at it, Nigeria has less than 400,000 police officers, and in a population of about 200 million people, there were promises to employ more people into the force. What is happening on that? Where are we on that? When are we expecting to see more police officers to police Nigeria?
If you are talking about the governments that have straddled the country in the Fourth Republic, 1999 to date, President Buhari has employed more hands for the police than perhaps all of those governments put together. So, but that is not to say we have got sufficient numbers that we need. Don't forget that this country has to live within means, within its own means. And when the police affairs minister goes to the National Assembly seeking money to hire more people, is confronted by demands from justice, from military, from education, and the health. And everyone is dipping their hands into the same basket. So it's a big challenge. We as much as the president wants to do this, he had done 10,000 again, and we are hoping there will be a lot more. But the important thing also you recognize is that there's the innovation that has been introduced of the community policing scheme. that is involving about 50,000 Nigerians based in their own local communities that will be owned by them, and then they'll be directing them as to law and order functions in those communities. We're hoping that this will choke crime at the roots of society.
Let me take you away from security and take you to issues relating to the welfare of Nigerians and issues relating to the economy. Let me show you this graphic that we've tried to put together here on China's television. This piece of graphic will give us a comparison about the state of the economy of Nigeria before President Buhari came into office and what we are getting now. These are some of the economic indicators in comparison from 2015 and now. If you look at it, the exchange rate, for example, inflation rate, and to the debt profile, what do you have to say to those figures? They don't look favorable, are they? For example, let me ask specifically now. For those, when the president promised about the stabilization of the naira, it has spiraled now. And you look at it, where it is presently, the exchange rate, it was $1 to 197 naira in 2015, but it's $1 to 410 naira. And perhaps it was ranked as one of the worst performing in 2016 rather. What do you have to say to this, Mr. Shehu?
Well, I'm not an expert in economics, and I hope that one of these days we get the Minister of Finance to sit on your show. But the debate has been going on for a long time. People have been pretending to having a stabilized naira when a government subsidy was given to importers and people with connection to procure foreign exchange. So the choices are being made and have to be made, whether money from the treasury will be taken each time a businessman wants to buy dollar and import things, we subsidize him or we charge him for the real amount of money that is due. I think that the economists are more competent to talk about this, but the naira is in the best possible health that it can be, given the circumstances we're in.
I perhaps don't, myself, I'm not an economist. I don't have background in that. But I'm looking, as a journalist, I'm looking at what the average Nigerian, some of those who voted this government in the office. When you say the naira is in the best position, for me and to me, it doesn't look like so from the graphic that we presented to you tonight. $1 to 197 naira. That is what it was before you took office. But now it is $1 to 410. But there's been criticism on this government about the handling of the economy for those who say that this government lacked the capacity to handle the issue of economy. Look at the inflation rate. 2015, 9%. It's now 18.12%. Unemployment rate, Mr. Shehu, 8.19% in 2015, 33.28% over. It entered into two digits and it's gone that bad. Look at debt profile, 12 trillion naira. That was the entire debt profile in 2015. It's gone to 32.92 trillion. Exchange rate, foreign reserves, it's better in foreign reserve. GDP growth rate, 2.79% in 2015. It's minus 9.2% in 2020. And in the fourth quarter of this year is 0.51. How do you explain this to an average person or even the expert who will say this government lacks the capacity to handle the economy?
Well, if you ask me this question, I will tell you that whoever questions the capacity of the government to manage the economy probably also need to have themselves re-examined. Because look at all of the things that have happened with the COVID over the last year and more. And can you see that on the entire African continent, this is the only country that is recording positive growth in its economy? So what are we talking about? That everyone has gone under. In fact, globally, remove China, how many countries are growing their economies? And our people are working day and night and ensuring that we don't go under. We don't go down as other countries have done. And who is not borrowing these days? Is it UK? Is it US? All of them are borrowing at record levels. Why do they need to borrow at record levels? Because they need to spend money so that the COVID economy will be revived. Unless you spend money, you hire more people, you put money in their pockets, that they spend it, and then the manufacturer sells their goods, and then they produce more. You can't get anywhere with the economy. But for God's sake, send me these numbers. Talk to the experts. As far as I know, is that this government has the best team that anybody can have on the continent, because the facts are there speaking for the administration.
Well, we put the facts out there and you can see, but since you say you're not the expert in that area, let's close the conversation tonight on this note. And I would have loved to ask you about the issue of true federalism, when the president said in 2019 that true federalism is the way to go. But for those who are saying that we've not seen the government move in that direction. But let me get your 30 seconds reaction to this matter before we allow you go, Mr. Shehu. When President Buhari makes appointment, the issue of neglect of consideration of a national spread of federal character is always raised, part of which many say is responsible for the agitation we see across the land. How difficult is it for the president? Is it difficult to ask anyways, to consider people from other parts of the country other than the section where some claim he always considers in most of his appointments?
Let me tell you, this is an old story. Was Obasanjo not accused of this? Didn't they accuse the late Yar'Adua and Mr. Jonathan? Look, Nigerians will accuse every government that comes into place of nepotism. In fact, so long as they are not appointed themselves as individuals, they will cry ethnicity and religion. So this is nothing. The president is conscious of his responsibility to the constitution and to the entire nation. And the numbers, when they are published in full, some of the critics will be embarrassed, because their states are the biggest beneficiaries of the appointments that the president has made. You said something about true federalism. We are on the way. Constitution amendments going on. National Assembly is giving leadership on the matter. We will get there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Garba Shehu, the Senior Special Assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari on Media and Publicity. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.